Hey guys, I thought I would go back and uh, pick up part one, chapter one, for you. And I know that part's been missing in the video, so I thought I would go ahead and go back and get that for you. So here we go. It starts out part one, seeing our way clearly. The way through the world is more difficult to find than the way beyond it. Wallace Stevens. Narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it. Jesus of Nazareth, Matthew 7:14. There are a few things more crucial to us than our lives, and there are a few things we're less clear about. The journey we're taking is hardly down the yellow brick road. Then again, that's not a bad analogy at all. You may set out in the light with hope and joy, but eventually our path always seems to lead us into the woods, shrouded with a low-lying mist. Where is this abundant life that Christ supposedly promised? Where is God when we need him most? What is to become of us? The cumulative effect of days upon years that we do not really understand is a subtle erosion. We come to doubt our place. We come to question God's intentions toward us, and we lose track of the most important things in life. We're not fully convinced that God's offer to us is life. We've forgotten that the heart is central. We had no idea that we were born into a world at war. Part one. Arm yourselves. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy, and I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. Jesus of Nazareth, John 10:10. We in the world, my children, will always be at war. Retreat is possible. Arm yourselves. Life, anger. We are running low on fuel, and still the fog refused to lift. Icy, straight, spread out below us, beautiful and threatening. I've always loved the ocean. The wilder, the better. But clearly, this was no place to run out of gas. If by chance we survived ditching the small plane, we'd last about 7 minutes in those waters. The nearest chance at rescue lived more than 40 minutes away. Great. This is just how it happens, I thought. We'll make Reader's Digest. Family on vacation, lost in fatal crash. Rain and mist smeared the windshield, and we strained our eyes ahead, searching for a break in the clouds. There's no radar in these planes. Bush pilots fly VFR, visual flight restrictions. If you can't see where you're going, well, then, mister, you can't go there, and you can't keep trying forever either. The clock that's running is the fuel gauge. 3 more minutes, and we'll have to turn back. And we'll give it one more pass. Fairweather Mountain is a total misnomer. With a name like that, don't you picture some lovely place in Hawaii or maybe Costa Rica? Balmy breezes, gentle green slopes. The weather always, well, fair. These mountains explode 15,000 feet or more above the sea level. Right off the coast of southern Alaska, sheer cliffs and foreboding glaciers. Some of the world's worst weather hangs out there. The pilot was yelling above the drone of the engine. They get their name because you can only see them in fair weather. How cute. What idiot came up with that cleverness? Raw fear swallowed my sense of humor whole. They ought to have named them the peaks of frozen death, or don't even think about it mountains. Fair weather? Around here, that means maybe 20 days a year, if you're lucky. We got lucky, and I have never seen anything more breathtaking in my life. We banked along the vertical granite walls that rose and fell thousands of feet on either side, like a sparrow gliding among the Himalayas. Are those waterfalls? I asked, pointing to several cascades of white falling through thin air over the black cliffs. Avalanches. Must be warm up here today. Massive crevasses in the glaciers below held pools of clear water, a color I never knew existed, something between azure and cerulean blue. Those cracks are so big we could fly right down them. I pretended not to hear. I felt we'd slipped through death's grasp, and I didn't want to give him another swipe. A beauty that now engulfed us was enough, in desperate need of clarity. 20 clear days a year. That sounds like my life. I think I see what's really going on about that often. The rest of the time, it feels like fog, like the bathroom mirror after a hot shower. You know what I mean. What exactly are you perfectly clear on these days? And how about your life? Why have things gone the way they have? Where was God in them all? And do you know what you ought to do next? With a deep, settling confidence that it would work out? Neither do I. Oh, I'd love to wake up each morning knowing exactly who I am and where God is taking me. Zeroed in on all my relationships, undaunting in my calling. It's awesome when I do see, but for most of us, life seems more like driving along with a dirty windshield and then turning into the sun. I can sort of make out the shapes ahead, and I think the light is green. Wouldn't a little bit of clarity go a long way right now? Let's start with why life is so dang hard. You try to lose a little weight, but it never seems to happen. You think making a shift in your career, maybe even serving God, but you never actually get to it. Perhaps a few of you do make the jump, but it rarely pans out the way you thought. You try to recover something of your marriage, and your spouse looks at you with a glance that says, "Nice try," or isn't it a little late for that? And the thing actually blows up into an argument in front of the kids. Yes, we have our faith, but even there, maybe especially there, it all seems to fall rather short of the promise. There's talk of freedom and abundant life, of peace, like a river, and joy unspeakable, but we see precious little of it, to be honest. Why is that? As Tillich said, it's only here and there in the world, and now and then in ourselves, we see in any evidence of a new creation. Here and there, now and then. In other words, not much. When you stand them side by side, the description of the Christian life practically shouted in the New Testament, compared with the actual life of most Christians, it's embarrassing. Paul sounded like a madman, and we look a little foolish, like children who've been held back a grade. Why is it that nearly every good thing, from taking the annual family vacation to planning a wedding to cultivating a relationship, takes so much work? It's almost as if there's something set against us. shell shock. Some dear friends of mine just returned from a 3-week vacation in France. It had been their dream for nearly 25 years. What could be more romantic than strolling the Champs-Élysées in the evening, as lovers do? It seemed an ideal way to celebrate their 25th wedding anniversary. They both served God faithfully for decades, but over the years, a European rendezvous seemed to be unreachable as the moon. Then late last fall, things suddenly came together. Friends of theirs were heading to Europe and offered 2 tickets to come along. Time off was available. They were going to France. And right after they made it to Paris, it all fell apart. Craig came down with walking pneumonia. Lori wanted to leave the 3rd day. All sorts of issues in their marriage surfaced, but since they were with friends, the issues mostly played themselves out in their own thoughts, which tended toward divorce. It wasn't romantic. It was hard. Afterward, as they talked on the phone about the whole thing, Lori said, "Life never seems to turn out the way you think it will, about 90% of the time." No kidding. Haven't we all got a story that goes with that little bumper sticker? Just the day before, I received another call. That was the morning our son Blaine was to have final cardiologist appointment. I was anxious to hear the news. Now, I know that every parent thinks his child is head and shoulders above the rest. And I'm telling you, Blaine is a special one. He turned 11 this year, and he's one of the healthiest, happiest kids I've ever known. His heart is so good, so spiritually aware, so keen to the hearts of others. He's surprisingly compassionate for a boy his age. And he's also the most courageous of us all. When it comes to rock climbing or cliff jumping or skiing, Blaine is always the first to go for it. He's a great athlete, talented artist, and a riot when it comes to his humor. He plays the violin. He memorizes cowboy poetry. He blows stuff up. He wants to be a Jedi Knight. I love this boy. That's a long story of prayer and hope and worry over Blaine. When he was young, his pediatrician picked up an anomaly in his heart during a routine checkup. The cardiologist confirmed through a battery of tests that indeed Blaine had several holes in his heart. "He'll need surgery," he said. We opted to wait till Blaine was older to give God a chance to intervene. The thought of putting my son under open heart surgery gave me the shudders. Over the course of those years, we spent many nights in prayer that God would heal Blaine's heart. During one of those times, Stacy, not usually given to visions, had a picture of a light penetrating his heart. At that moment, she felt God had healed him. Just this morning, the day of his annual checkup, as I began to pray for Blaine, I sensed Jesus say, "I've healed him." My heart rested, and I waited for the good report. "Hi, it's me." Long silence. "Blaine needs surgery right away." Hope vanished. I felt that sick in the gut feeling of an imminent free fall. That feeling you get on the top of a ladder that's starting to sway under you. All kinds of thoughts and emotions rushed in, and what? No, not after all this. I thought. My heart was sinking. Despair, betrayal, abandonment by God, failure on our part to pray enough or believe enough. I felt moments away from a total loss of heart. It seemed inevitable. These moments aren't rational, calculated progression of thought. They're more like being tossed out of a raft in a storm. It comes fast and furious. But the pull of the current is always toward a loss of heart. Most of the time, we're swept away. We give in, lose heart, and climb out of it sometime later. Some never climb out. Eyes to see. When Spillane, who wrote The Perfect Storm, treats injured seamen offshore, one of the first things he evaluates is their degree of consciousness. The highest level, known as alert and oriented times 4, describes almost everyone in an everyday situation. They know who they are, where they are, what time it is, and what's just happened. If someone suffers a blow to the head, the first thing they lose is recent events. Alert and oriented times 3. The last thing they lose is their identity. A person who has lost all levels of consciousness, right down to their identity, is said to be alert and oriented times 0. When John Spillane wakes up in the water, he's alert and oriented times 0. His understanding of the world is reduced to the fact that he exists, nothing more. Almost simultaneously, he understands that he's in excruciating pain. For a long time, that's all he knows. John Spillane is a para-rescue jumper sent into the North Atlantic, into the worst storm of the 20th century, the perfect storm. As the book and film called it, to rescue fishermen lost at sea. When his helicopter goes down, he's forced to jump into pitch blackness from an unknown height. When he hits the water, he's going so fast, it's like hitting pavement from 80 feet above. He's dazed and confused, just as we are when it comes to the story of our lives. It's the perfect analogy. We have no idea who we really are, why we're here, what's happened to us, or why. Honestly, most days, we are alert and oriented times 0. Has God abandoned us? Did we not pray enough? Is this just something we accept as part of life? Suck it up, even though it breaks our hearts. After a while, the accumulation of event after event that we do not like and do not understand erodes our confidence. We are a part of something grand and good and reduces us to a survivalist mindset. I know. We've been told that we matter to God, and part of us partly believes it, but life is a way of chipping away at that conviction, undermining our settled belief that he means us well. I mean, if that's true, then why didn't he fill in the blank? Heal your mom, save your marriage, get you married, help you out more. Either A, we're blowing it, or B, God is holding out on us, or some combination of both, which is where most people land. Think about it. Isn't this where you land? With all the things that haven't gone the way you'd hoped and wanted? Isn't it some version of I'm blowing it, and that's it, and that it's your fault? You could have done better. You could have been braver or wiser or more beautiful or something. Or God is holding out on me, and that you know he could come through, but he hasn't come through. And what are you to make of that? This is the big question. By the way, the one every philosophy and religion and denominational take on Christianity has been trying to nail down since the dawn of time. What is really going on here? Good grief. Life is brutal. Day after day, it hammers us until we lose sight of what God intends for us. We haven't the foggiest idea why things that are happening to us are happening to us. Then you watch lives going down with the Twin Towers, read about the children starving in Ethiopia, and wham! If a good God is really in charge, all that. I felt so bad that Paris wasn't what my friends hoped it would be. I wasn't sure what to say. Like most Christians in that situation, I simply asked Lori how I could pray for them, that we would have eyes to see what's going on. My heart leaped. Brilliant. Perfect. It is exactly what we need. Eyes to see. Isn't that what Jesus offered us? Clarity? Recovery of sight for the blind, Luke 4:18. We need clarity, and we need it badly. A simple prayer rises from the heart. Jesus, take away the fog and the clouds and the veil and help me to see. Give me eyes to really see. That's it for part one. I'll finish up part two of chapter one in another video.